We are counting down the 20 vintage treasures from Black households that were once everyday staples but now command jaw-dropping prices. From iconic fashion accessories and beloved childhood keepsakes to rare kitchenware, vinyl records, and personal archives, each item on this list earned its spot for both cultural meaning and collector value. Wondering which humble household artifact could be worth a fortune today? Let's begin the countdown, starting with number 20. Sunday mornings in Black households during the 1970s and 1980s meant more than just church service. It was a full production. The star of the show was the church hat, carefully boxed and stored in the closet, often only brought out for special occasions. These hats were not just accessories, they were statements of pride, dignity, and creativity. Some were handcrafted by local milliners, others carried labels from Black-owned shops or well-known designers. The value of a hat today can increase if it is in its original box, with the maker's label still intact, and especially if there are family photos showing it in action. One estate auction in 2021, Community Estates lot number CH102, saw a boxed, labeled hat with several Sunday best photos fetch $350. That is not a fortune, but it is a testament to how these pieces have become more than just fashion. They are artifacts of Black respectability and church culture. In many families, a mother or grandmother's hat collection still sits on a closet shelf, each one holding memories of Easter Sundays, choir anniversaries, and family reunions. The real value lives in those stories, but collectors and museums are starting to take notice too. For many, the church hat is the first thing that comes to mind when thinking of Black family heirlooms. An icon of style, tradition, and quiet resistance. High-waist denim and going-out fashion from the 1970s and the 1980s were more than just a look. They were a badge of pride, especially when it came to a fresh pair of Levi's, Lee, or Wrangler jeans. The secret to spotting the real deal starts with the red line selvage on the inside seam, a detail that signals true vintage. Union-made tags and old-school care labels help date each pair, and sizes above 36-inch waist or long inseams are especially rare. They can double or even triple the resale price. In 2022, a pair of 1970s Levi's with a red line selvage and a 38-inch waist sold for $420 on Grailed, listing number 874562, simply because big sizes from that era have nearly vanished. Disco suits and tailored jackets from Black designers, once reserved for Friday nights or dance floors, are now in demand by collectors and stylists. Pieces with intact labels from Black-owned shops or custom tailoring details fetch even more. Vintage marketplaces and fashion guides are full of tips for identifying authentic denim and designer pieces, but the best advice is to check for union tags, selvage edges, and original buttons. What was once just the outfit for a night out is now a modest treasure, one that is bridging the gap between Sunday best and everyday style, and quietly rising in value with every passing year. Velvet paintings and Afrocentric figurines once stood proudly on living room shelves, coffee tables, and sideboards across Black America. These weren't just decorations, they were declarations of identity, a celebration of Black beauty and family, sometimes mass-produced, sometimes crafted by hand. Ceramic figurines of Black musicians, dancers, or family scenes, especially those stamped or signed by known makers, have become mid-range collectibles. In 2020, a single signed ceramic couple, well-preserved and with clear maker's marks, sold for $650 at Julien's Auctions, lot number DA55. Condition, signature, and even the presence of original packaging can double or triple the price. Velvet paintings, often of jazz scenes, Black Jesus, or proud family portraits, might fetch a few $100s if the artist is identified, but anonymous or mass market pieces tend to stay in the lower range. Museums now collect these, not just for their artistry, but for what they say about home pride and self-representation. Yet debates continue. Some figurines echo stereotypes, while others reclaim and reinterpret Blackness through folk art. Collectors and curators look for context. They ask who made it, who owned it, and how it was displayed. For many families, these objects are reminders of a time when the living room was a gallery of hope and heritage. And even the most ordinary piece can carry both memory and unexpected value. Afro picks, hair grease tins, and salon signs once filled bathroom drawers and dresser tops in Black households across the country. These weren't just tools, they were declarations. The metal Afro pick with the raised black power fist, first produced in the late 1960s, became a symbol of pride and resistance, showing up everywhere from college dorms to family reunions. Collectors now hunt for these picks, especially those made of metal with distinct maker's marks or original packaging. A $700 sale of a 1970s metal pick with the iconic fist still sealed in its original wrapper took place at Cowan's Auctions, lot number BP77 in 2019. Even plastic versions with the right markings can bring in several $100s, but it's the early sculpted ones that draw the highest bids. Vintage hair product bottles like Ultra Sheen jars or Johnson Products tins are also in demand, especially if the labels are bright and the containers are unopened. Old salon and barbershop signs, hand-painted with bold colors and local flair, have crossed the $1,000 mark when tied to a known neighborhood shop. These artifacts tell the story of self-care as self-love and of hair as a political statement. What was once an everyday object in the bathroom or beauty shop now stands as a testament to Black beauty, creativity, and the power of owning your image. Tucked away in china cabinets or high on kitchen shelves, the good dishes were a fixture in Black households. Pyrex mixing bowls, Corningware casseroles, and Fire King serving sets, waiting for Sunday dinner or a holiday feast. Families prized complete sets with matching lids, and some patterns were so rare that spotting one at a potluck felt like seeing a celebrity. Patterns like Pyrex's Butterprint, Gooseberry, and the elusive Lucky in Love became collector gold, especially if the original factory stamp was still crisp on the underside. Corningware's Spice of Life and blue cornflower lines, often handed down from grandmother to mother to daughter, now fetch serious money if all the pieces are intact. The real jackpot was an eBay sale in 2021, item number 334,455, where a mint condition Pyrex set with all lids and clear stamps pulled in $1,250. Lids are the first thing to go missing over decades of family meals, so a full set is almost unheard of. These dishes carry the memory of pot roasts, peach cobblers, and family laughter. For collectors, it is the rare patterns, perfect condition, and those little glass lids that turn a kitchen staple into a four-figure payday. Next up, the toys and childhood treasures that once filled the playrooms and backyards of Black families. Long before collectors started hunting for them, boxed Black Barbie and Christie dolls sat on bedroom shelves or tucked away in closets, their bright outfits untouched and hair still perfectly styled. For many Black children in the 1970s and the 1980s, these dolls were not just toys, they were a first glimpse of themselves in the world of make-believe. Mattel's Christie, introduced in 1968 as one of Barbie's earliest Black friends, became a favorite in Black households, especially when found with original tape seals and the cardboard certificate of authenticity still inside. The real surprise comes decades later. A 1978 boxed Christie, lot number Toy 99, sold at Bonham's in 2020 for $3,200, thanks to its flawless box and crisp paperwork. Toy collectors use strict grading, checking for yellowed plastic windows, intact hairnets, and even the factory twist ties around the doll's waist. Action figures featuring Black characters from shows like The Jeffersons or Fat Albert, and board games with original shrink wrap now fetch hundreds, if not thousands, if they are in mint condition. For families who save these toys, it is not just about the money, it is about seeing childhood memories, once overlooked, recognized as rare pieces of cultural history. Every scratch-free box or sealed game is a reminder of the value in preserving the everyday joys of Black childhood. Stacks of hand-drawn party flyers scrawled in marker on colored paper once filled bedroom drawers and kitchen counters across the Bronx and beyond. These weren't just invitations, they were the blueprints of hip-hop's birth, advertising DJ Kool Herc's back-to-school jams, Grandmaster Flash's block parties, and early MC battles at community centers. Many were made by the DJs themselves or friends with a knack for bubble letters and DIY graphics. Original flyers from 1977 to 1982, especially those listing legendary venues like the PAL, the T Connection, or 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, now command thousands at auction. In 2021, a single flyer billed as private sale, Fly 1977 with clear DJ provenance and sharp paper condition sold for $2,500. The Universal Hip Hop Museum has built an archive of these flyers, recognizing their role as primary documents of a global movement's earliest days. Some have even been acquired directly from families who kept them tucked away for decades. Their edges yellowed, but the history intact. Cassette mixtapes, homemade recordings of live DJ sets are just as prized, especially when the handwriting on the label matches the flyer. Museums, collectors, and scholars now treat these scraps of paper and tape as artifacts, not just nostalgia. Their scarcity and direct link to hip-hop's foundation have pushed prices ever upward, making them some of the most sought-after cultural paperwork in the vintage market. Yearbooks, Letterman jackets, and graduation stoles from historically Black colleges and universities hold a special place in Black family history. Tucked away in trunks or displayed with pride, these artifacts capture more than just faces and names. They document milestones, friendships, and the rise of future trailblazers. A Howard University yearbook from the 1970s, complete with handwritten notes and photos of classmates who later became judges, artists, or activists, sold for $1,200 at Swan Auction Galleries in 2019, lot HB 48. Even higher prices have been seen for complete runs or editions with signatures from notable alumni. Letterman jackets and kente stoles, especially those tied to specific graduating classes or fraternities, attract alumni associations and institutional buyers eager to preserve their legacy. Demand has only grown as historically Black colleges and universities gain recognition for shaping Black excellence across generations. Alumni associations and specialty auctions are now key players in this market, often seeking out items with strong provenance and unique inscriptions. For families consulting historically Black colleges and universities, archives before selling can reveal hidden value, and sometimes these archives will offer to acquire pieces directly. The pride in owning or preserving these artifacts goes far beyond the dollar amount. They are living records of educational achievement and community progress, now recognized as essential pieces of American history. Old issues of Ebony, Jet, and Essence once stacked up on coffee tables or were tucked into magazine racks, holding month after month of Black life, celebrity, and community milestones. These were not just reading material, they were a record of everything from the March on Washington to the latest Motown tour, and they kept families connected to a wider world. Collectors now hunt for key issues, covers featuring icons like Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, or the first Black Miss America, and editions that reported on civil rights victories or tragedies in real time. Condition matters. A crisp cover, intact staples, and no torn pages can mean the difference between a keepsake and a serious collector's item. In 2020, many vintage ebony magazines sold at heritage auctions. One example is a 1969 Diana Ross cover in near mint condition that sold for $800, Lot Mag 301. Local Black newspapers, once picked up at corner stores or delivered to front doors, have also found new value, especially if they include rare obituaries, sports coverage, or front-page headlines from pivotal moments. University libraries and research centers now bid against private collectors, eager to fill gaps in their archives. For families, flipping through these old magazines is a trip through time. For the market, it is the right cover, the right date, and the right story that turn a stack of old paper into a prized piece of Black history. A working camera was once a fixture in Black homes, capturing birthdays, graduations, and everyday life that rarely made the news. The 35mm single lens reflex camera, like a Nikon or Canon, was a prized possession, often handed down or bought after months of saving. Models such as the Nikon FM or Canon AE1, especially with their original lens and box, now attract collectors and resellers. In 2022, a Nikon FM with a clean serial number and original lens cap sold for $600 through KEH, a camera marketplace known for verifying function and authenticity. The Polaroid SX70, famous for its instant prints at family cookouts, is another hot item. Working models with the folding body and leather trim can fetch hundreds of dollars, especially with the box or a stash of unused film. Super 8 movie cameras, tucked away after the switch to VHS, are now sought after for their role in documenting Black family history. Collectors pay a premium for cameras that still work, have clear serial numbers, and include their original accessories. Before selling, families are advised to test the shutter, check for corrosion in the battery compartment, and photograph all identifying marks. What was once a tool for preserving memories has become a collectible in its own right, value for both its craftsmanship and the stories it helped to tell. Before video games became a global industry, a boxed Atari 2600 or an Apple II in the living room was a sign that a Black family was keeping up with the latest tech. In the early 1980s, these systems were not cheap. Parents often saved up or pooled resources to buy them for birthdays or Christmas. Today, collectors are on the hunt for consoles that were barely touched, still in their original packaging with matching serial numbers and foam inserts intact. A sealed Atari 2600 set, complete with manuals and box, sold for $6,500 at Golden Auctions, lot number VG2600 in 2021. That is not just nostalgia. It is a market driven by grading services that treat these consoles like rare coins, checking every label, sticker, and serial. The same goes for early Nintendo Entertainment System and Apple II computers. Original boxes, paperwork, and even the twist ties on cables can double the value. Some families kept their systems stored away after the kids moved out, never realizing the future demand for untouched tech. If you find an old console in the closet, check that the serial on the box matches the serial on the unit. Look for original inserts. These details can turn a childhood memory into a collector's jackpot. The tech nostalgia wave is only growing, with auction prices climbing every year. Next in line are the fixtures that shape the heart of the neighborhood, the barbershop. Barbershop and beauty salon fixtures once found new life in the garages and basements of Black households, long after the last customer left the chair. These everyday objects have become important pieces of cultural memory. Vintage barber chairs, especially those with heavy cast iron bases and serial plates from brands like Koken or Belmont, have become some of the most valuable artifacts to surface at estate auctions. Meekum's lot BC12 in 2020 sold a fully restored chair with original upholstery, a working hydraulic pump, and the maker's plate still shining for $2,250. The value climbs when the chair comes with a story, For example, a family who kept the chair after closing their shop, handing it down as a reminder of years spent serving the neighborhood. Hand-painted price boards, mirrors etched with the shop's name, and brand plates from the 1970s and 1980s are also in demand, especially if they show signs of use. Nickel-worn, smooth, paint faded by years of sunlight. Restoration dealers look for these details, often tracing the shop's legacy through old business directories or family photos. For some, the fixtures are more than collectibles. They are pieces of community history, each scratch and scuff telling a story of haircuts, conversations, and the business of care. As prices for these larger artifacts climb, collectors are paying closer attention to the artistry behind every hand-lettered sign and the pride behind every well-worn chair. Original posters from blaxploitation films and 1970s Black cinema once hung in bedrooms, barbershops, and rec rooms. Their bold colors and striking artwork capturing a new era of Black storytelling. Titles like Shaft, Superfly, and Coffee were not just box office hits, they became symbols of cool, rebellion, and pride, and their posters reflected that attitude. These one-sheets, often picked up from local theaters or video stores, were usually folded by the National Screen Service before shipping, leaving telltale crease lines that collectors now use to date and authenticate each piece. Variant artwork, sometimes featuring different taglines or international designs, adds another layer of rarity. Museums and serious collectors have fueled bidding wars for the best examples. At Guernsey's auction, Lot BP07 in 2018 saw a Superfly poster in near mint condition sell for $4,200. The stakes climb even higher for posters with intact National Screen Service numbers, original printer marks, and no restoration or paperbacking. Lobby cards, smaller prints used in theater lobbies, can also fetch strong prices, especially when they show scenes cut from the final film. As institutions race to build archives of Black film history, even a single, well-preserved poster can spark competition between collectors and museums. For families sorting through old boxes, those fold lines, printer marks, and even the scent of old paper might mean a forgotten treasure, one that is now recognized as both RT and artifact, bridging the gap between movie night and museum walls. A quilt folded at the end of a bed or draped over a living room sofa once carried far more meaning than warmth. In Black households, especially across the South, hand-stitched quilts told family stories, each patch a memory, each color a choice. The most celebrated examples come from Gee's Bend, Alabama, where makers like Mary Lee Bendolph and Lucy T. Petway transformed scraps of denim, corduroy, and work shirts into bold, improvisational art. What began as necessity, piecing together worn clothes to keep warm, has now crossed over into the fine art world, with museums and collectors vying for documented examples. In 2017, Christie's auctioned a Gee's Bend quilt, Lot QB19, for $125,000, a price that would have seemed unimaginable when these blankets were first made. The value hinges on details, the maker's name, exhibition history, and visible hand-stitching patterns. Even family quilts without a famous name can attract four-figure or five-figure offers. If the provenance is strong, stories, photos, or original labels add weight. Kente cloths and Afrocentric textiles, especially those used in graduations or family ceremonies, are gaining attention too. To preserve value, experts recommend storing textiles flat, away from sunlight, and documenting their origins. What was once a household staple is now recognized as both heritage and high art, with some pieces commanding prices that rival paintings. The artistry woven into these fabrics is finally being honored, not just as craft, but as a living record of Black creativity and resilience. A hi-fi stereo system wasn't just another appliance in a Black living room during the 1970s and the 1980s. It was a badge of taste, a centerpiece for music and memory. Brands like Marantz, Pioneer, and Sansui meant something special: deep bass, crisp highs, and enough power to turn a Saturday night into a dance party or a Sunday morning into a gospel revival. Families saved up for months to buy a receiver, speakers, and a turntable, often from local dealers who included their own warranty tags and handwritten invoices. Today, collectors chase these same systems, combing through estate sales and class exhibits for original model plates, matched serial numbers, and even the dealer's service records. A fully serviced Marantz 2600 receiver, paired with period-correct speakers and all the paperwork, manuals, boxes, and even the original dealer invoice number, HIFI 88 from 2022, recently sold for $40,000. That kind of price hinges on condition and documentation, every knob working, every light glowing, every serial matching. Powering up a 40-year-old system without proper checks can fry rare components, so experts advise a full inspection before testing. Audiophile forums buzz with stories of families discovering forgotten systems in basements, complete with original receipts tucked in the manual sleeve. These aren't just electronics, they're legacy pieces, still commanding high four-figure to low five-figure sales, and holding the echoes of every record ever played through them. Stacks of soul, funk, and early hip-hop records once lined the shelves of Black living rooms, their spines worn by years of parties and family gatherings. Some of the rare treasures were never sold in stores at all: promo 45 singles, test pressings, and private press LPS, pressed in tiny quantities and handed out to local DJs or radio stations. The real gold lies in the details: a promo stamp on the label, a handwritten matrix number etched into the dead wax, or a radio station's call letters scribbled on the sleeve. These marks tell a story of how records traveled from Motown studios or a neighborhood label straight into the hands of the community. A single copy of Frank Wilson's Do I Love You, Indeed I Do, pressed on Blue Label Motown vinyl and issued only to select DJs, sold for nearly £100,000 at a UK auction in 2019, about $120,000, lot FW1. That is not just about the music, it is the provenance, the untouched sleeve, and the unique markings that make collectors pay six figures. Most records will not hit that number, but even a $5,000 Funk 45 or a $2,000 early rap single can turn up in a forgotten crate. For families sorting through old vinyl, photographing the label, the run-out groove, and any promo stamps is key. Those tiny etchings and DJ notes can make all the difference. In the world of vintage Black vinyl, it is not just what is on the record, but where it has been and who played it that drives the value sky high. A pair of original 1985 Air Jordan 1s, still in their box with factory tags and that unmistakable red and black colorway, has become the holy grail for sneaker collectors. These shoes weren't just for the basketball court. They were a badge of style and status, often reserved for the first day of school or a big game. Some families kept them tucked away, barely worn, outlasting trends and even the feet they were bought to fit. Today, a dead stock pair with the original hang tag and box label can fetch anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. But the real headline came in 2020. Sotheby's auctioned off a game-worn signed pair, lot AJ1CHI, for $560,000, setting a new bar for vintage sneakers. Authentication now goes far beyond a quick glance. Experts check the stitching under ultraviolet light, match the tongue tag's factory code, and even analyze how the midsole has aged over decades. Forensic labs and sneaker auction houses have built entire teams to spot fakes and confirm the real thing, especially as counterfeit rings target high-value pairs. It's not just Jordans either. Original Adidas superstars and Puma Clydes, especially with provenance tying them to local athletes or hip-hop legends, are climbing fast. In the world of vintage sneakers, those little details, box codes, stitching quirks, the right kind of yellowing, can be the difference between a family heirloom and a six-figure payday. Buttons, posters, and pamphlets from the civil rights era still surface in boxes tucked under beds or inside desk drawers, each one a silent witness to decades of struggle and hope. These pieces, bearing slogans for the NAACP, Black Power, or campaigns for local city council seats, carry a weight that goes far beyond paper and ink. A complete set of Black Power buttons, kept together since the late 1960s, sold for $3,800 at RR Auction in 2021, lot PP68. The price reflected more than rarity, it spoke to the power of provenance, march-worn, sweat-stained, sometimes signed or inscribed by activists themselves. Collectors and institutions now compete fiercely for such ephemera, especially when it documents local movements or features slogans rarely seen outside a single city. Museums and archives actively seek out these materials, often reaching out to families before private dealers can move in. The ethical question lingers: should these artifacts remain in private hands or be donated to archives where the broader community can access them? For families deciding what to do with a box of old flyers or a handful of protest pins, the choice is about more than money. It's about memory, legacy, and whose stories will be told in the years to come. Each button, each faded pamphlet, is a piece of collective memory, one that carries both historical gravity and real rising value in the world of cultural preservation. Super 8 reels and VHS tapes, once tucked away in closets, now hold a kind of value no one could have predicted. These home movies captured Black family reunions, birthday parties, Sunday dinners, moments that rarely made the news but shaped generations. Collectors and documentary producers have started seeking out this footage, not just for nostalgia, but because it is some of the only visual evidence of everyday Black life in the 1970s and the 1980s. The real payday comes when the rights are clear. A family with well-preserved reels, digitized in high resolution, and backed by signed release forms, can negotiate licensing deals that add up. In 2020, a package of unique, high-quality family footage licensed to a Netflix documentary under license number H. M 2020 brought the rights holders $12,000 for just a few minutes of use. That is not a one-time windfall either. Families who keep their copyright and negotiate non-exclusive licenses can earn again and again as new projects come calling. The key is in the paperwork, clear metadata, release forms from everyone who appears, and high-resolution digital scans ready to go. Several documentary licensing firms now specialize in helping families with digitization, rights negotiation, and even revenue sharing. For anyone sorting through old reels or tapes, the advice is simple. Do not just digitize, document who is in each clip, keep the originals safe, and never give up your rights without reading the contract. The living memory in these tapes is priceless, but in the right hands, it can also become a steady source of income that honors the past while supporting the future. A family photo album, thick with Polaroids and Kodak prints, is more than a keepsake. It's a living archive of Black life that can now generate real income for those who know how to protect and license it. Museums, publishers, and documentary filmmakers are searching for authentic, high-quality images that capture everyday moments, block parties, church picnics, school portraits, and family reunions. Licensing firms like Getty's FP 2021 bundle pay families not just for individual images, but for the rights to use entire collections, with deals that can add up to $18,000 or more over time. The key is preparation, digitizing photos at high resolution, recording who is in each shot, and keeping careful metadata are essential steps. Release forms from everyone pictured, even for snapshots taken decades ago, are essential for legal licensing. Some families work with revenue sharing agreements, ensuring income every time an image is reused in a new project. Unlike selling a single item, licensing a personal archive means the family keeps ownership and control while building a steady stream of royalties. For many, these albums are the most valuable asset they will ever own, not just financially, but as records of memory, dignity, and joy, preserved for generations to come. Across all 20 entries, one powerful truth stands out. Everyday Black culture is now priceless to collectors, museums, and the market. What was once overlooked is suddenly recognized for its history, artistry, and influence. This shift proves that the value of Black households is not just financial, it is foundational to America's story. Our memories, it turns out, are worth far more than we ever imagined. Which vintage treasure means the most to you? Share your thoughts below.